You have $100 in your hand. Not a big jackpot, not surprise money from a distant relative, not a bonus from your boss at just the right time. Just $100, the kind that disappears on a Friday evening without you noticing, the kind you won't even remember where it went 2 days later, the kind that seems insignificant but is just as limiting, both at the same time. And this is exactly where everything begins. Not with a plan you've been thinking about, not with an investment strategy you've been researching for a long time. Just with this $100 in a single decision that seems laughably small given the size of what you dream of. You set up the automatic transfer, you choose the index fund, you don't think too much because last year and the year before that, thinking too much was exactly what stopped you. You click confirm and watch what happens. Your $100 budget appears in the account, the market moves 0.4% instantly, and your $100 suddenly drops to $99.60. You check your account multiple times before going to sleep. And this looks nothing like anything you've imagined until now. You regularly deposit $100 every month, just like watering a plant you're not sure is alive. Some months the number in your account goes up, some months it goes down. 6 months pass and you see the balance is $581. You had calculated how much you could earn from the fund before you started. You knew it would be around those amounts. $581 is not a number that will change your life. Not a number you'll tell people about, a number that quietly exists in a bank account. You now check less than you did on the first day because checking it no longer excites you. This is exactly the part nobody talks about because there's nothing to talk about. The first 6 months of the $100 you deposit monthly into your account is not a story, it's a habit. And before you see the results of habits, you just need to give yourself a little time. You're building the consistency muscle at a gym where you can't yet see progress in the mirror. And there's a different version of you standing here, not with a dramatic decision, not with a big sacrifice. In a month when things were tight, the transfer to the fund account didn't happen. Then one more month. Then the account stayed at $581 for 4 months. Untouched, you stopped thinking about it too. Then you let the entry go and a year passed and the habit quietly disappeared and $581 is still sitting there, earning almost nothing because it wasn't moved to anything growing. This version of you is not lazy. This version of you is human. The gap between knowing what needs to be done and continuing to do it during a period when nothing visibly rewards you is exactly where people quietly exit and give up. And you are not exiting. Your decisions are clear. You don't yet know what this will be worth, but you will learn. 12 months have passed. You've made $1,200 in transfers, balance $1,318. The market behaved reasonably, and you earned $118 on top of what you put in. $118 is actually a number you could earn with an afternoon of overtime. Not impressive, and you're smart enough to know that, yet disciplined enough to continue. What the balance doesn't show in year one is this. You built a relationship with delayed gratification that most people never build. Instead of $100 that could have been a dinner out each month, you made a contribution. Most of the things you thought you needed $100 for never materialized. When they did, you found it elsewhere instead of withdrawing from your account. $100 was never actually the load-bearing column of your budget. It just felt that way, and you tested that feeling 12 times, and it misled you 12 times. That's a discovery far more valuable than the $118 market return. 26 months have passed. You now have $2,600 in your account. Total balance $3,140. This number now has a weight to it. Not a weight that will radically change your life, but a perceptible weight for you. The kind where you're starting to see the shape of something that didn't exist before. In the second year, some things change. You check the account now out of curiosity rather than anxiety. You move from watching for disaster to watching your deposited money grow in your account. Most people make this psychological shift much later. Some never do. The market drops. Of course it drops. Starting from a month you'd rather forget. For unrelated reasons, it drops 13% in 11 weeks. $390 evaporates. The account that was $3,140 drops to $2,730. You feel this not exactly in your stomach, not exactly in your chest, but somewhere between the two. You sit and think and wait. You don't sell. You transfer the $100 on time because you know. This system you've built is not a negotiation with market conditions. That $100 buys more shares than you bought 3 months ago because prices have dropped further. You're finding opportunity for yourself out of the chaos. You don't celebrate this, you just continue with the same discipline. When the market recovers 8 months later, the account is at $3,960. The shares you bought at the bottom during the downturn are now worth more than you paid. The discipline of the bad months is quietly starting to show itself. It does this every time and every time you forget. But you should know that forgetting is fine as long as the behavior doesn't change. The third year ends. You've made a $3,600 investment. Balance $4,810. You're $1,210 above the amount you put in. Compounding is starting to appear as a real number now. Not dramatic, but real. The gap between what you put in and what you have is opening in your favor, and will continue to open and will open increasingly faster over time. And at some point, the returns will stop feeling like a bonus and start feeling like a second contribution to your account, like someone else depositing money into your account alongside you every month. That someone is time itself. Time is the only investor who never misses a contribution, who will never panic and sell at the bottom. You are 29. It's been 60 months since you started putting $100 into your account, $6,000 in contributions, balance approximately $8,350 with a 10% average annual return, close to the historical average of the S&P 500. Not a guarantee, not a promise, but historically real. $8,350. You have $2,350 more than what you put in, more than most people's savings right now. Not because you earned more than other people, not because you had advantages, but because you started a specific habit at a specific moment when you felt ready for it and sustained it through 12 months when nothing visibly rewarded you, and through a downturn that felt personal, and through a period in the fourth year when you genuinely considered pausing but didn't. Let me tell you what $8,350 is not. Not retirement, not a down payment on a house by itself, not financial freedom. People will tell you that $8,350. $350 is nothing in the context of long-term wealth, and they will be technically correct, and they will be completely wrong about what this number means because $8,350 is not a number. $8,350 is proof. Proof that you can build something from almost nothing without a free fall, without a high income, without a perfect plan you thought about for months. Proof that the system works when you notice and feed it. You are the kind of person who feeds the system, and the identity you have, far more valuable than $8,350, is what carries forward. You've been doing this for 5 years, and your relationship with money is different. Not because you have more, but because you approach it with different awareness. You track where money goes. You understand the difference between spending that produces something and spending that only produces that moment. You're not depriving yourself. You're not living on rice and discipline. You traveled and you bought that thing. You just did it inside a structure that protects the $100 because $100 has now become something non-negotiable, not a sacrifice. Your patience is different. You've experienced the market both rising and falling, and your instincts have changed in both directions. You no longer react. You observe. You understand that a red number on a Tuesday is not information about the future. It's information about today. And today will be left behind tomorrow. And the future doesn't care how that Tuesday felt. And the harder part, the distance. A quietly widening silent separation. Not because you're better than the people around you who aren't building anything, but because your priorities now differentiate themselves in small daily decisions, and small decisions lead to a different life. You sometimes feel this as a loneliness you can't name. You're not going in the direction everyone is going, and because your movements are slow enough, nobody has noticed yet, including you. Not until you look back and see how far you've come in this process. You are 34. It's been 120 months since you started contributing to your account. You've contributed $12,000. Balance approximately $20,700. You have $8,700 surplus. The returns are now contributing meaningfully. Just last year, your portfolio generated approximately $1,750 without you spending a single extra dollar, without a raise, without a second job, from shares that have been compounding for 10 years. They try to explain this in books and podcasts, and you never understand it until you see it in your own account with your own money. The returns are now contributing at a pace approaching your monthly investment amount. You invest $100, and the market provides the equivalent of $145 per month on the current balance. Your invested money is making money, not at a life-changing pace, but at a noticed and accelerating pace. Think about what you could build with $100. Think about what you didn't sacrifice. You didn't move back home. You didn't get a second job. You didn't give up the things that make your life your life. You gave $100 every month, and 10 years later, you have a portfolio growing faster than your contributions and a permanent habit that no longer feels like a habit. Because permanent habits no longer feel like habits, they feel like personality. You are 44, 20 years, $24,000 in contributions, approximately $76,500 at 10% average annual return. You have $52,500 surplus, more than double your total investment. You didn't do anything extraordinary to do this. You didn't time the market. You didn't pick the right stock. There was no mentor or inheritance or luck that changed everything. There was $100 a month and 20 years, and the system did what it needed to do when left alone long enough. $76,500 is now a real number, a number that changes decisions, a number with enough weight that if you want to build something on it, it can be used as a foundation. And the thing easy to miss in year 20 is this. The momentum is just beginning. The account isn't growing linearly, it's growing exponentially, and the exponential part is only becoming visible now. In year 1, the market returned $118. In year 10, it returned approximately $1,750 in a single year. In year 20, the account is generating approximately $7,200 per year. $7,200 in a year from $100 monthly investment, you're investing $1,200 and the account adds $7,200. The system has now become the primary contributor. You're nearly a passenger. And this journey began with a $100 transfer on a Tuesday evening in an apartment you were moving out of. You are 54, $36,000 in contributions, approximately $228,000 balance. Time consistency and compound interest produced $192,000 you never deposited, never earned in any job, never earned in any way, built by doing something small every month for 30 years and not stopping. At 54 with a 10% average return and $228,000, your portfolio generates approximately $22,800 per year without touching the principal, approximately $1,900 per month, from a system that started with $100 with still 10 years until traditional retirement age. You are 64, 40 years of $100 monthly investment, $48,000 in contributions, balance approximately $638,000 at historical average returns. $638,000 from $48,000, the difference of $590,000 was not earned. It grew with time and your refusal to stop. With the 48,000 small decisions you made each month when you directed $100 that could have gone elsewhere to here, every month felt like nothing. Every month seemed too small. Every correction you didn't sell. Every year that passed without dramatic progress or visible success. Every Tuesday transfer nobody congratulated you for. It all accumulated, it all compounded. It's all here. You've read the numbers. The numbers shown are real. The numbers matter. And the numbers are not the point. This is about the version of yourself you build when you decide that not the big and eventual, but the small and consistent wins. Because the big and eventual is what most people are waiting for. A bigger salary, a bonus, an inheritance. The amount that will finally make starting make sense. The moment that finally comes when it's worth starting. That moment doesn't come. And if it does, the habit of waiting comes with it. And the money gets absorbed into a life that has expanded to receive it, and nothing gets built. Small and consistent is not a consolation prize for those who can't do more. This is the mechanism. This is how the machine works. The person who invests $100 a month and the person who waits to save $1,000 a month arrive at two different places. 40 years later, the first has 40 years of compound returns and a permanent relationship with discipline. The second has a perpetually postponed intention, a savings account perpetually spent from within, and an uncomfortable awareness that time is genuinely the one thing that cannot be replaced. Time doesn't wait for the right amount. It works with whatever you give it. You gave it $100. You gave it every month. You gave it for 40 years and it gave you back something $100 could never buy. Waiting could never build, and shortcuts could never produce. It proved to you that the smallest right decision repeated without stopping looks from the outside like luck, from the inside like discipline, and in the end, like the most ordinary, extraordinary thing a person can do with money. Start now, $100 every month. The system is open and waiting for you.